record. Very good. You missed those critical people, but it's okay.
Habari zenyu, it means good morning. My name is Jennifer. I'm working with the East African Hub as master trainer. Thank you.
Me, I'm known now. I'm a master only out. So Dr. Gole, you can just come here.
Hello team, I'm David Agole. Hello team, I'm David Agole. I am a capacity development consultant and offering a lot of other support to the hub. Thank you.
Yeah, they are visible. Good morning, team. My name is Timothy Abekis. I'm the lead consultant for agribusiness. Nice to be here.
Over to Chicken. Lucy. Okay. Let's go to. Okay, Lucy is there. Yes, Dr. Wendy. Proceed. Kenya, go ahead.
My name is Esther Mwiki from Pan University, and I'm the e-learning consultant.
Karibuni.
Good morning.
Go ahead, Lucy.
Good morning. I'm Lucy Mwangi. I'm the consultant for policy and investment strategy. I'm based in Kigali, Rwanda. I'm Kenyan. Thank you.
Baha, you are muted. Unmute, yeah. Baha,
oh, sorry.
unmute yourself.
Good morning, all. Yes, Baha Nguma is my name. Can you hear me now?
You have again muted yourself.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Are you able to hear me now?
Yes, we can hear.
Okay, a very good morning to you all, ladies and gentlemen. Bahanguma is my name. Field School Master Trainer Support Specialist, East African Hub. Thank you.
Thank you.
Where's Jen? Jen?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Jane Biashara, supporting the Kenya part as a market, as a field, master's trainer. Sorry, I'm new in the group, so I'm learning a lot. Thank you. Did everyone get me? My network is not good today.
Don't worry, we got you. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Edwin Adenya, working for the Field School Hub as a knowledge management and communications consultant. My pleasure meeting you all, both virtually and in spirit. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now let's see straight away. You know, these online things, they are very
the others.
tricky,
there's Michael.
so we need to go faster.
Max, there's Michael Akwenyu. There's Freddie Thomas.
Oh.
There's Jen Ruheni. They've not introduced themselves.
Yeah, maybe.
There's
Okay.
Dixon
Let's go
Nalikia,
to
Tanzania.
Let's go to Fred. Fred,
Hello.
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 Good morning.
Kwa majina ni Fredi Thomas. Ni mkufunzi mkuu kutoka EAFFS na nipo Tanzania.
Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Yeah. And you are allowed even to speak Kiswahili because everyone in the room understands at least Kiswahili, some basic Kiswahili. Basic.
Thank you very much.
Sawa sawa. But if you
Consultant
speak
Kiswahili
English,
anaitwaje?
okay. Over to
There's Dixon in Tanzania still. Mr. Naligia, unmute yourself. Maybe it's not ready.
Akwenyu.
Can we go back to Kenya? Jen Ruheni. Jen, unmute yourself.
Good morning.
Morning, that's Dixon.
My name is Dixon Aligia. I'm a research assistant from Tanzania. Thank you, everyone. I'm happy to be here.
Pleasure.
Karibu sana. Yes.
Madam Jen Ruheni.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Jen Ruheni from Kenya. I'm the research assistant. I'm glad to be part of the team. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Excellent.
There is Akwenyu Michael and Opio Peter.
Full body, eh?
Opio, unmute yourself, boss. Opio, the stage is yours.
Akwenyu is there.
Okay, Akwenyi. Michael?
Yes,
Akwenyi.
morning.
Morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
I'm Akwenyu Michael, assistant from Uganda.
Thank you. I think, Max, you can proceed. I think anybody that have left, raise your hand if I've left you.
Okay. So.
Nobody else.
Yeah. Edwin, we don't have Gregory and Celestine Kavoshi.
Yeah, I have not seen. Let me try to raise them. Oh, there is Sharon. Sharon Ibenu.
Sharon. Joining from Soroti.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Good morning. Good morning.
Morning.
Yeah, I'm called Ibn Sharon, and I'm a field research assistant from Soroti.
Pleasure.
Who else?
I think we don't see Gregory from Kenya and Celestine Kavoshi.
I'm following them up on SMS, on WhatsApp.
Okay. So, you said you sent the presentation.
Yeah, I sent it.
So we shall now start off. We need to, Professor.
Yeah.
You put your slide. We need to start. Unfortunately, I'm told some presentations have just come to the email. So let me see if if my email is still working. This presentation is this one. This is which one did you say? EAFFS or Gmail? Send to Gmail so that I can quickly get it. I've even a letter here from Farah.
Gmail. So do you have it? Because
Gmail.
I don't have access to
Maybe in your ear.
Gmail.
Lucy.
So at gmail.com or .uk?
Let me get if you sent it. But it's not. You just sent, eh?
Yeah. Just
Huh? You forward to Gmail is much faster.
Okay, so
Nathan, what did you send?
Is it gmail.com or yours?
Gmail.com.
Okay. So it's M on the front.
Lucy, you are going to share your presentation. Are you ready? Whoever is ready. Esther, if you are ready, we can give you a chance to present.
Okay.
Yeah?
I think I can start.
So we give you a chance as we get to Timothy later.
Yes, I can.
Okay, very good. So let's start with Esther as we get to the next. So we shall remove our video and also mute, then over to you.
Good morning, everyone, once more. My name, as I indicated, is Esther Mohindi, and I work at Pwani University. My original profession is soil and water management, but I also work as a master trainer. Currently, I'm consulting with the EAFFS as the e-learning courses and modules specialist in Farmer Field School. So I'll be working with, I've already started, and we are moving with EAFFS in development of e-learning courses and modules for our FFS. To give us more background, we all know that Farmer Field School is a unique extension approach, which is group-based learning process, and is normally unique because it brings together concepts and methods from agroecology, experimental, and also it brings the experiential education experiences for the farmers. And this, because of its unique nature, we normally say that is a very good extension approach which can improve sustainable agricultural production within our ecosystems and also all over the world, more so for the small scale farmers. This is because farmers are able to make their own decisions about which crops to plant, and also livestock management practices which they think they are best for them, and also they are able to make decisions of which technology to adopt and which one not to adopt, and the reasons why, because of the experimental part of the extension approach. But despite the fact that this approach is very unique and very good, you realize that over the years, it has not been uptaken very well. The uptake has been very poor, maybe because of other factors, but we can also attribute the low uptake to limited pool of trainers or experts worldwide. Because you realize that if you count the number of master trainers within even East Africa alone, they are not optimal. Also, the number of facilitators who can be able to spearhead and take the technology to another level or the extension approach to another level, we are still lacking. So one of the challenges which has meant the approach not to be utilized by farmers a lot, one of it is the expert pool is still limited, and the ones who are there, some of them 50% and 75% experienced. Because of this, that's why FAO and other players of FFS have been thinking of how to increase the expert pool. And looking at the way the modern world has gone, you realize that e-learning or training has been utilized by several organizations, FAO included, in training large pool of experts in different disciplines, including agriculture, conservation, etc., as leading to increase of expert pool in different specialities. And because it has been successfully used in other disciplines, FAO e-learning academy took upon itself to see whether FFS can also be integrated in the e-learning so that we can be able to increase the expert pool of FFS and make the approach better to be able to reach more and benefit more and more farmers. Again, the e-learning comes and training comes also in early and very strong in the phase of COVID-19 pandemic, where face-to-face training is a problem. We need social distancing, and also traveling from one place to another to go and get training is challenged. And because of the importance of e-learning and understanding what it can do to our FFS approach and to our farmers and towards food security, because now with COVID, we need food. We need the farmers to be knowledgeable. We need farmers to get these technologies so that they can be able to produce enough food to improve immunity of our people, to be able to fight this disease. E-learning now comes in handy and comes strongly. But now you find that despite the fact that we need this e-learning, we have some existing e-learning modules which have been developed by FAO in the last few months or 1 year, but they are not yet complete. And that's why now EAFFS came in handy, working together with FAO e-learning academy to see whether the development and updating of these existing e-learning courses and modules can be supported and also can be done a little bit faster and perfected so that we can start now the training and be able to assist our farmers, also assist sustainable development of our food schools and also improve food security in East Africa and also all over the world. Then now understanding where the e-learning is coming from, how is this thing going to be done? The e-learning courses and modules, they are going to be developed through a certain some steps. We're going to go through some steps before we come up with the final output. And this process is going to start by reviewing of core FFS documentations, which are already existing. We understand that there are several FFS guides, several FFS monitoring and evaluation documents, and there will be a very thorough review of all existing FFS as much as possible, all the key existing FFS documents. Then after the review, there'll also be some analysis of all the existing, the most important, because you can never review all of them, the most important existing FFS training modules and their content. They will be analyzed. Sorry. Then after the analysis, some recommendations will be made. Now, after these two review and analysis, now enough information will be gotten, which will help to synthesize the existing e-courses, which already FAO had already started. Synthesis of the learning objectives, how things are supposed to be done, So this one will be done in consultation with the FAO team. Then after the review, analysis, and the synthesis, the now complete e-course will be developed. There will be an e-course for policymakers, e-course for trainers, e-course for policy formulators, and another relevant e-course which will be which EAFFS will find important at this level. There will also be the monitoring and evaluation guides will also be evaluated, analyzed, and also recommendations done. After the designing of the e-course, the document will be incorporated on multimedia tools like graphics, clips, animation, etc., will be incorporated in the document, at least to make it easier to read and to follow. And this will be done in consultation with a multimedia specialist who will be provided by EAFFS. Once now the booklet is complete, the e-course content is complete, the module is complete, all the multimedia tools and graphics have been put, the whole course now will be tested, pre-tested by presenting to several experts. Then after the presentation, their input will be incorporated. And after the revision, e-manuals, which will be used to guide trainers and also learners, will be developed. After the development of the e-manuals and guidelines, now this ready e-course, which is now a package on its own, which has the e-manuals, which is a guideline of where to open, how to go through so that you can be able to finish, and all the content inside. And when we talk of the content, is the whole FFS process, starting from where we normally start when you are forming the groups, out with the group formation, all the way to follow-up and sustainability of FFS. Once the whole document is ready, the document will be used to train, or the module will be used to train FFS resource persons. And these resource persons, they'll be selected by EAFFS, the ones that will be trained first, and they'll be trained on how to develop a module like that, and how to transfer documents in that module, how to go through the module when you are training, and how to make any adjustments within the module, so that at least it won't be something which is done by only one person. People will be equipped to be doing it, taking it to another level, and even modifications when need be. Then after the training, because now the resource persons who have the ability to teach have increased, the same e-modules will be used now to support now learning in research centers, in other institutions, and also in institutions of higher education like universities, which have already institutionalized FFS. Once now the e-modules are ready, they are already being used for teaching, and these trainers who are in these institutions have already been capacity built and followed up and supported, and they become experts. The whole process now will be complete, and the whole assignment will be done. That's all what I had. Thank you very much. And now I give a chance for questions, or maybe somebody wants to ask something. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you, Esther. So, over, Edwin.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Mwindi, for this wonderful presentation. Remember, Pwani University is like a pace setter under this institutionalization of field schools, particularly in institutions of higher learning. To what extent can this consultancy be extended to the other universities within the region? I'm talking about Kiambogo, Busitema, the one in Addis, so that they can get to the level where we are. Over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. Maybe to search for some clarification, are you asking whether it can be extended before the development or after the development?
I will say the lessons learned from the development of the e-learning course and the processes that you went through at Pwani University trying to institutionalize field schools, you'll just have delivered a package to the other universities to pack and go, to install and move.
Okay, I think this is doable because the good thing with nowadays, everything is done online. So with good planning, it's easy to be able to bring all the other members from other universities on board, and we can be able to incorporate them in one way. First, we take them through the process. Then after that, we can be able to incorporate them in one way or another with our
Opio.
Sorry,
So,
Opio.
sorry.
Opio, Peter, are you able to mute?
Mute kindly. I'm trying to mute him from my side. Is appropriate. Peter, try to mute yourself. Okay, proceed, Dr. Mwindi.
Yes, I was saying that with the, proper planning and in consultation with EAFFS, I think this is something which can be done very easily. Despite the fact that we cannot travel, if all the members from other universities are brought on board, it's easy for me to be able to take them through step by step. Then after that, we work together. We work together with them until they are able also to go and replicate it in their place.
Thank you so much.
Edwin.
Yes, Dr. Agole?
Oh, yes. Oh, thank you. I'm actually working with this. I keep up in this. What I wanted to suggest is that you brought a relevant question, how the other universities can be brought on board so that they understand what is taking place. Because at the end, hello?
Hello?
Yes, you brought a relevant question. How other universities can be brought on board so that they understand the process from the very beginning, and at the end, everybody will be able to appreciate the work done and the outcomes, and therefore will be able to own the outcomes. What I would suggest, Esther, since we work together, we need to create some meetings for stakeholder engagement for the involving all the universities. Much as they are not directly involved in the execution of this project, they will be sensitized on what is taking place from the very beginning. These meetings are different from what we conduct when we are doing the training, like what we are doing now for the hub. It needs another category of meetings where professors, lecturers, and so on, the teaching staff of different universities are brought on board. Like we had a meeting recently. Remember when you presented the initial outline of the curricula? That kind of meeting. We need those meetings.
Thank you, Dr. Agole. I can see Baha's hand is raised.
Thank you, Edwin. Thank you very much, Dr. Mwindi and Dr. Agole for that presentation. I have some kind of a question and a suggestion for the way forward. I'm assuming that e-learning is purposive for ensuring that people are able to learn without interacting, without face-to-face. Looking at the cycle that Daktari has shared and the kind of involvement that is required, I am thinking that perhaps it might take quite some time for us to be able to see outputs in the near future. So I am thinking that what if we say within the capacity gaps in terms of the creation of e-learning materials, where should be our focus? And because we want to increase the pool of experts, I want to imagine that the area that we really want to zero in is where we can be able to train others through the e-learning material. Having said that, then taking the case of Pwani University, if we are offering a certificate course to Pwani University students, we may want to ask ourselves now, moving forward, what content do we need for us to be able to come up with interactive e-learning materials for students? For example, if we want a short course for 21 days, how are we gonna do that? I think this is what we might want to focus on as we look at the big picture. And I want to agree with Dr. Agole that we need to bring stakeholders together, see what needs to be incorporated. As I finish, perhaps Sari Mwindi and Gole for a meeting with some of us.
Baha, you are off. We can't hear you anymore.
Yeah, I had handed over to Edwin, unless I wasn't clear enough. You want me to repeat?
Preferably the last statement that you had mentioned. That one is where you went off.
The last statement was that moving forward, Dr. Esther and Dr. Agole needs to quickly get on board master trainers to crystallize this idea of e-learning as they think of how to, the others be thinking of what is the content to take to pick maybe one scenario where we want to do a short course for 21 days or even 1 day training to sensitize people on FFS. How best can we be able to do that? And we can start off the discussion in that manner. Over to you, Edwin.
Thank you. Over to Max.
Okay, so I think that if there are any other issues on feedback that we want to give, especially in the context of the current assignment also, but most importantly from my side is that as we discuss about the courses, which is a kind of a medium term, we should also look at the immediate, which is the curriculum development, especially in terms of supporting the investment projects. Currently, the Ugandan group has requested that we support with the EAFFS the development of a curriculum. So again, the team in the e-learning, of course with the master trainers, all of us are supposed to swing into action and support them. So as we talk about the bigger picture of the e-learning together with the e-learning academy from Rome, we should also be talking about how we support the national actors, especially the investment programs. So, Esther, you need to consider that in your plans, that there are immediate things that are coming, which is curriculum development for the field school. Normally, the ministries are good in developing the other part, but we have to fit into the in context of the field school. So that is, I think, one thing I wanted to mention.
Max, I just wanted to contribute to the discussion.
Yeah, you can contribute straight.
Yeah, so my contribution is basically adding on what Dr. David Agoles mentioned. However, I was just wondering at what point do we engage the other universities? Because there can be engagement at the development process, but also engagement at the use level. So I think we need to have a deliberate plan and not just to say we need to, bring them on board. So what's the plan for us to profile the other universities, which should be part and parcel of this process? So once we have that, then we should at least have a deliberate engagement on profiling, say, the contact person from these universities, and the agreeing on the point of engagement. Should it be at the development process or at the use level? But I think from experience, it would be good to have them engage at the curriculum development process, so that they also own this. Otherwise, then if we roll it over to them later after the modules have been developed, it might be taken as something for us and not them. Thank you. Over to you.
Okay. Just also for the benefit of everyone, is that I think Pwani Makerere University, Aramaya in Ethiopia, Uganda Matters, also Chambogo, they have been engaged in terms of institutionalization. So that group is already there. I think we are actually a smaller group. What we should do now is to let them know what we are doing and get support from them, so that you will fit into what is already existing. Funny, you know that the Ambassador Mweru has been a lead person there. For Makerere, we have Twaha, we have Dr. Kror, Professor Twaha, Dr. Kror, and others. Then, so we can always link you with those to be able to give further guidance on how they are moving in terms of the institutionalization, but also the modules, and also to let them know about the e-academy. That will be the sensitization that you can always do as an e-learning team. Okay.
So,
anything from Opio up country, we need to hear from the field. JP. Okay, you.
Dr. Mwindi. Hello? Edwin?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah,
Yes,
Dr. Mwindi.
we can hear you.
So what we shall do, we need a larger stakeholder meeting that encompasses all the field school actors. The first initial meeting should be a very big one, initial and curriculum development. The first initial meeting should be a big one, because it's from that meeting that you will develop big ideas. And then the smaller meeting of stakeholders that have been identified will synthesize the ideas that have originated from the bigger meeting. So that bigger meeting is good for raising awareness, for sensitization of the bigger group. So the smaller group, we make sure that there are representatives from the different universities that have been participating. As you had Max mention them. Yeah. They should be in the similar meeting. And those people should continue to work with us. They will not be directly part of the consultancy, but they will provide expertise to enrich the process throughout the consultancy development process.
Okay.
Max,
So,
for the attention of all the participants, we have this dedicated Zoom channel that they can use to engage with the other stakeholders. All they need to do is to inform us in advance, at least 24 hours a day before, so that we can schedule for 1 or 2 hours Zoom, uninterrupted Zoom conference.
I would actually request that Esther, liaise with them and organize a meeting and invite them. Yeah.
Maybe I can ask a small question.
Please.
I'll liaise with Edwin to schedule the meeting, but who is going to choose the stakeholders?
Pardon?
Who is going to choose the stakeholders?
Who is going to?
Sorry?
Who is going to choose the stakeholders or the participants of the larger meeting?
No, they are already in our network.
What you do, you develop, I think the e-learning team, you can develop a small concept and say you want to have a meeting on ABCD. Then for us, we shall give you the participants. We know some of them already.
Yeah, and even for her at Pwani, she can engage with Ambassador Mweri. For those, even Baha used to participate in some of those meetings. Yeah, so we have a list of stakeholders from all the universities and the colleges.
Yeah. And you can invite some of them to present what they have been already doing. So I think that will be the role we can play as a hub. So you can facilitate that process, develop a small concept, then we do the comments, and it could be a good way to shape your work in terms of supporting the processes. So let's go to the next presentation now. Where is your presentation? There are so many presentations here. Is this one? Huh? This one is not. Huh?
The PowerPoint at the bottom.
This
That's
one.
at the bottom. That one. The
This
last
one.
You can come down. Scroll down.
But that one doesn't matter.
Yeah.
This is yours.
The last one. Yeah.
It was becoming another. So you take over.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Max, for passing over to me. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Edwin, are you okay? Are you seeing the screen?
Yes, but I wish you could put it on slideshow. But we are seeing the screen.
It's showing something at the side.
Yeah. Is it on slideshow?
Next. Find a way of removing this. It has like notes on the side.
Normally it is. You see, it is this one which is.
Go back.
That is even worse.
End
No, Timothy, there's this slideshow, this small hourglass thing.
Yeah, I did that, but you know.
We're trying to.
How can we remove it?
I'm trying to end the show. Then he come here and do the full show. You see?
So it is still, the text is highlighted. It is like, did you open the PowerPoint in edit mode?
It is in Word, that's why. It is, there are 2 slides now.
Showing 2 slides.
I think that is why. Side by side.
Then maybe you might be forced to convert it into PDF. Then you just be going page down, page down.
This is a problem. Why don't we do like this? You can still see.
Widen.
Like this.
That's okay.
That's better. Okay.
analog.
I think it's analog. Yeah. Yes. Good afternoon, team.
Good afternoon.
My name is Timothy Abeikis, and I am the lead agribusiness consultant. I'm here with my colleague Isaac Obongo, and we will be executing this assignment together. Today we are here to make a presentation of how we propose to tackle the task. Before I dive into my presentation, just a bit about what each one of us is doing. Starting from myself, I am an investment professional. I work with a fund manager called Pearl Capital Partners. Pearl Capital Partners manages a number of funds, but the one I'm involved in is called Yield Uganda Investment Fund. Yield Uganda invests exclusively on agribusiness, and we make investments in all subsectors in agriculture. And the fund was set up by European Union alongside 4 other investors, including Soros Economic Development Fund. So when I saw this opportunity, I expressed interest because there are certain elements of the hub that speak to what I do as an investment manager. My colleague Isaac Obongo works with the National Agricultural Research Organization as a socio-economist, and by background, we are both agricultural economists. Isaac has a development economics at Masters, and then I have done food business at Masters. So I just have highlighted that because there's a bit of confusion on my title on how to address me from EAFFS side. I'm not a doctor, I'm a Mr. Timothy Abeikis. Yeah, so I will now dive into our presentation. So basically, we are quite new on the network, and we've not. This is our first presentation. This is our first write-up to share with the team. So we've not started implementation of any of our deliverables. So our presentation is basically going to address the question of how we understand the task and how we plan to deliver the task. And then we will welcome your, for most of you, it looks to me you've been around in the hub for some time. So my colleague and I will then benefit from your comments and any questions that you may have on our approach. So we will take you through the background. We will go highlight the objectives that we are going to achieve through this task, expected outcomes and outputs, and then we shall give a framework of our understanding of the task and how we are going to deliver it, including a bit about our methodology, our proposed work plan. Yeah, so I'll move straight. Our first slide is basically information that most of us already know, but because we are making our first presentation, we wanted to put our work in context of our first field school approach. So I'll just go to the goal directly because it's where most of our objectives are taken from. Basically, what we are trying to achieve here, all our efforts for different consultants, is to enhance utilization of knowledge and innovations by the different actors in the value chain to improve productivity at individual and national level. And then I'll move straight to the for our specific assignment. In pursuit of the above goal, EAFFS has sought services of an agribusiness consultant, basically to provide support and backstopping to implementers of the investment programs to ensure that there's transformation to farmer business schools. The overall objective of our task to provide, as I said, support to the different implementers of the investment. Specifically, we have been requested to review the investment programs and then coming up with recommendations for capacity building and sustainability from the perspective of agribusiness. And then we've also been requested to take it further, build capacity of the implementers of the various projects and programs in line with, again, as we have done our guidelines, for example, FAO guidelines. And then again, as I said, we will open to discussion to the rest of the colleagues. Moving on, our third specific objective is we will conduct market analysis for the various value chains under the Farmer Field School investment programs. So we've been directed to look at staple crops, come up with a profile of actors who are already engaged in the Farmer Field School approach to explore opportunity for linkages and networking. So we've got 6 key outputs. So we're supposed to come up with a report detailing sustainability and capacity building issues from the perspective of agribusiness. And then we're also supposed to, upon conducting capacity building trainings or programs, come up with reports to that effect. And then the analysis reports for value chain work that we are going to undertake for the different select crops. And then the profiles of different participants or players already undertaking or implementing the Farmer Field School methodology. I will now move to what underpins our thinking and how we envisage delivering our task. So we look at this task as at the center of our involvement. We are aiming at, and in connection to the goal, the EAFFS goal, as I have presented earlier. What overlays every aspect of our engagement is a framework that informs the implementation of this component. So this will be achieved through the 4 components: agribusiness sustainability. There are a number of there's a body of knowledge on sustainability, but then we are saying we need to customize it to farmer field schools. So we need to embed sustainability in the framework. And then capacity building aspect of it, that will involve the tools, the approach and the tools. And then, as I mentioned earlier, part of our deliverables actually goes as far as conducting capacity building, implementing the different tools. So there's a component on capacity building based on the sustainability framework, and then got a very good aspect, a very good component of market analysis in the framework. So if you look at those 4 different quadrants, they all point towards a framework. And as we said that it's knowledge sharing, then we are to document the knowledge from the perspective of agribusiness based on sustainability, capacity, actors, different actors participating, different actors actually currently using the approach for synergy. And then the market analysis, value chain analysis of the different products under the value chain, under the field school, under EAFFS field schools. So in order for us to, if I take you back, to come up with this framework, we will review the different programs. According to the terms of reference that we received, we know there are 3 big programs, and then there are a number of projects, about 7 projects. So as I speak now, we've not seen any of the projects. So what we'll delve in will be to review the different programs and projects, and then from the perspective of teasing out aspects of sustainability, agribusiness sustainability. Then we will also look at adapting the tools for capacity building based on the identified areas of capacity building. We will adapt the different tools. I had mentioned already that there are already existing tools, but our work is to contextualize it from the perspective of field schools. So we've already mentioned FAO materials on FAO materials on farmer business schools. There are other materials from World Bank, especially around sustainability. There's International Finance Corporation has got a whole body of work around agribusiness sustainability. And then there's FAO itself has a good body of work around agribusiness sustainability. Our task is to put together the information under the framework of East Africa Schools Hub. So we will undertake capacity building, we will do value chain analysis, we will profile actors, and at the end of the day, we will have that framework, the capacity, the agribusiness framework, in form of, included as part of our concept note. The methodology for now, we're just going to give a top level discussion on our methodology. The details of which, part of it is in the full report, but then some aspects of the methodology will be developed as we engage further with EAFFS and FAO. But certainly, as I mentioned, we will review, we've already, most of the information we have at the moment, which has enabled us to come up with this report, has come from the terms of reference. We've also done a bit of our own reading. We've not yet touched or seen any information, detailed information about from the different investment programs. So the approach will certainly will evolve as we engage with FAO, with EAFFS. So we have a number of days on desk review of different investment programs and projects. And then we will customize the tools. As I mentioned, there are tools already, there's already a body of knowledge from FAO and other bodies. So we will use that information and customize it for the purpose for the field schools. And then we will also, another important aspect of our work from the perspective of capacity building is our own evaluation of the different structures which are in place to deliver this program. For example, from my understanding, there will be project management units, there will be EAFFS itself. We want to see how the structures within the different units actually accommodate the transformation from field school to farmer business school. In the report, we've detailed how we are going to do that, but we look at it as very critical, and then we will also undertake virtual or physical interactions, trainings. Once we have built the framework, once we've adapted tools, then now we will have an interaction with the implementers, with the different stakeholders. And then, yeah, so, but as we collect the information, we will conduct it with different, as I said, different players in the network, including EAFFS, FAO, and field schools if necessary. Our work plan, again, we are probably the latest entrance in the system, so we have this is our first output. This is probably our first presentation. So we know we are short on time, but we believe that with the support from EAFFS and FAO, we can, we will dive very fast into reviewing the documents. That will be our first task. We would like to get access to the programs, to the documents. Then we think we can do that between now and 18th of this month, and then we will, based on that review, we will start on developing a framework. We'll start on adapting tools, and then we will move into engaging the different actors by way of sharing knowledge, building capacities, and then we will move into, and some of these tasks will overlap. For example, we'll move into product value chain and market analysis. This can be done in tandem with our review of the documentations. So looking at the framework, we have between 14th, which is today, and 15th of December to accomplish our task. So what this means is that we will need a lot of networking, a lot of support from EAFFS, the coordinator. We will also make use of the master trainers. We understand that master trainers have been in this thing for quite long. So we believe that through working, we come from purely, myself, I come from mostly business background. So I will, my colleague Isaac complements my experience. He's done field schools, and then he's involved in socioeconomic research. So we come with complementary skills. But we cannot deliver this task without the support of the master trainers and EAFFS itself. So with that support, we are confident that we can, within the limits of our own abilities, deliver this task before the end of the year. Yeah, so this is it. I'll call upon my colleague Isaac if he has one or two things to add.
Well, I think you've done the best so far. We welcome comments from the participants here, the audience online, so that we can enrich this. It's still a document which is work in progress. It's not yet cast on stone. So based on technical guidance from the team here and the audience, I think we are open to improvement. Thank you.
Okay, so having had the presentation from Timothy and also a compliment from Isaac, we should then move ahead. I will stop sharing so that I can see, hey, who is joining with the techno? Okay, no problem, that's fine. So let's open the discussions, but just to start off, I think the group has started. By the way, you are not the last because we are still getting people on board. We have 15 days to end. We shall still get another person. Soon, I've been engaging with the FAO Ethiopia, and they are getting us somebody on sustainability, some doctor. But I want to take this opportunity to welcome, I think you should have come this side, very seasoned colleague of ours, Andrew Ating from FAO Uganda office. So you are most welcome, sir.
Thank you.
I called you on a short notice because I wanted you to at least give us a spice. You're always a guru of field schools, and it is indeed when you are in Uganda not to miss your input. Otherwise, you can miss it forever. So you're welcome, Andrew. You found us when you finished the e-learning presentation by Dr. Esther Mwidi from Kenya, from Pwani University, and there were issues of institutionalization, which you've been handling as well. Now we had the agribusiness by Timothy and Isaac. So I think we shall delve into the discussions on the agribusiness, which is also part of your life in the field school. So you are welcome. So now I open the discussion, but I want also to already make some managerial announcements as we start this. The master trainer who will be working very closely with the Timothy is JPO Pio and Ibaha. Because these senior people were very good, and of course backstopped by Edwin and myself. So for e-learning, Dr. Esther, Dr. Gole, your people will be the other master trainers with the Jennifers, so that we divide the labor and we move faster. But that does not mean that is where they are stuck. We shall be always rotating and supporting each other throughout the system. So over to the online team to begin, so that we come to the room when you have started. Maybe you want to see the hands. Let me, I'm still sharing, yeah? And share the, stop sharing. Why is this thing still there?
No, you've just put your video on. You're not sharing any slide.
Hey, but for us, we can see that we are sharing. Let me go back here. Hey, for you, you are nicely seeing something nice, but again, for us,
I'm just seeing light in the background because you are all charcoal.
Just give me 1 minute to undo certain things.
Dr. Mwindi's hand is up.
Okay, proceed as we sort the technical things here.
Thank you very much, Timothy, for the very in-depth presentation. I have one question which I want to ask for some clarifications. We know the issue of farming as a business and sustainability is in thing in success of farmer field school. More so when we talk of sustainable, we can just call it sustainable agribusiness. most of the times from experience, we start a farmer field school and we run through the whole process of the methodology. But once we leave the group, if we taught them some agribusiness, the sustainability issue becomes a problem. Now, we understand that there is some documentations by FAO, World Bank, and other organizations on agribusiness, but they are from different areas with different experiences. I wanted to ask whether you have an aspect where you are going to get maybe own experience, or maybe you are going to have some forums where you're going to collect data or information on agribusiness and sustainability, farming as a business and sustainability of what is happening in our area to enrich your final document. Thank you. Over to you.
Maybe we get a number, maybe 3 questions, then he responds. Anything else from online team? Lucy, we believe you are expert in agribusiness. Hope you are not taking tea.
Yes.
JP. Is JP still there? He's a key guy. Edwin, is JP there? I don't see him.
He's here. The network, he's been having a problem in the network, but he's here.
Because he's a very key, experienced guy in this business. Okay.
Maybe just a question or an observation to Timothy and Isaac. I've seen, yes, as part of the terms of reference, we focus so much on the investment programs, but there's a good window of opportunity and low-hanging fruits in these farmer associations. I don't know how we can incorporate them. And there was a very good paper that had been done by James Okoth on the farmer field school networks. How can they be revived? Those are just my 2 observations.
Maybe, Andrew, maybe a good presentation from the business, the guy was just presenting. I have one question to, supporting what Edwin has just said. When looking at the models that are in the field, the direct implementation for agribusinesses like Edwin is talking about the associations and the new things that different groups are starting to get into for the purposes of sustainability. That is the market facilitation. I don't know how the team doing agribusiness will be doing that, like checking on the 2 and which one is really easily adopted by the field schools. Because we have that one for the direct implementation, working with them to the market, and we have the one that we are involving all the actors. How do we look at both and to see what is this that we can really strongly recommend as a hub for the sustainability of the EAFFS? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Timothy, you can turn the computer.
Okay.
Turn the computer to yourself.
I suppose that was Lucy, the last person. The last question, was that Lucy?
No, it was Jane Beshara.
Oh, Jane, oh, sorry. Yes, so the first question was from Dr. Mwindi, and is mainly addressing issues of context. I think that we will take this more like a comment, because all we are trying to achieve in this approach, you realize that there's already a body of knowledge that touches most of what we are to achieve in this task, but we are to adapt this to context. So I'm happy that you mentioned it, and it's exactly what we propose to adopt. We need to contextualize information approaches to country, if possible to region. So we will take this. We will take it as a comment from your side, and we will accommodate it in our approach.
Yeah, let me respond to number 3, question 3 by Jen. Yeah, Jen, you have mentioned about the different approaches to sustainability, and you hinted much on the marketing, approaching it from the marketing perspective, vis-a-vis approaching it from looking at the different context of agribusiness. So I think for us, and from experience, it's too early to say this is the one we would like to move with, say talk about marketing. But I would buy into the approach of looking at involvement of different actors. Because when you analyze the constraints facing these farm associations, they are broad, they are not basically marketing related. I mean specific to marketing. It cuts across to input acquisition, to knowledge access, across all that. So after we have profiled the different actors, we would really vie a lot for linkages and the linkages and then engagement of different private actors in the different spheres of the farmer field school. For example, if it's to do with the access to inputs, we should have an arrangement, a mechanism through which these farmer field schools are linked to the nearest, say, agro-input dealers. If it's about market access, there should be arrangements where these farm schools are also linked to market actors. So I think it's going to be a holistic approach. We wouldn't really want to rely on one, just a unidirectional approach. Thank you.
Okay, now I see Opio is JP is online, and JP, agribusiness is in your heart in the field school. I think also I want to highlight that the reason we are bringing the agribusiness point of view is that we all know the field school evolution, how we've been evolving, and we've had a little bit of criticisms on us. When you talk to some people about field schools, they say, you guys are on production, you're on production, which is not the case, and we would like to see some light. Can you, okay, let me finish, then I allow you to go ahead. Dixon, mute, so that we have, okay, thank you very much. Naskuru sana. So, the reason behind this agribusiness idea is that we want to see how our field schools are helped, that they now go into a holistic field school process where we are talking about seed to from farm to fork, from the seed and all these processes until you have something on the plate. That is also one area we're talking about. But all these go with the principles of the field school. We are not going to invent anything very different, but it's just additions that give value to the field schools. For example, now when we are in COVID, how are we going to support the field schools to access, if they produce something for their from the farm, how will they access the markets? How can they be networked? How can they add value? Those are some of the agribusiness things that we would want to see, the conceptualization, the general conceptualization of that. ADRA, for example, have farmer business schools. I think they feel that is the school they want, but they are almost the same as farmer field schools anyway. So we want to see those elements that give us some value beyond what people feel we are production based. I see Andrew has a itching hand in the room.
Thank you, Max, for that. And I just want to bring out the issue of maintaining the principles of the field school as we even try to transition our field schools from production to market-oriented perspectives of sustaining themselves. Really, in a field school, we are looking at three aspects. These are the foundational pillars. Ecological literacy, we are looking at experiential learning, and we are looking at community development. So, how do we sustain these pillars as we transition from basically an aspect of productivity and environmental conservation or preservation to market-oriented production? So, I would look at it as something that once a field school has laid an aspect of the social organization of the community, has enabled them to tap into their physical, their natural assets in a way which is sustainable through ecological literacy and basing on their indigenous knowledge, which enhances experiential learning. Then now, a field school begins to evolve into a more financial, or rather what I would call a cooperative kind of setting, whereby they now go more into an aspect of addressing the issue of now that we have surplus production as a result of a well-managed ecosystem, and we are producing profitably because we are using less inputs from outside to support the production system. How do we now address the surplus production which has come in? And you find that the three elements which we are talking about may not continue to be very relevant as far as getting that surplus to the market is concerned. But then what we would want to see is how do the field schools that have evolved into this market dimension continue to link with the grassroots of the production. So I don't know whether we can have like a parallel arrangement whereby we find that there are those who have gone more into the market aspect, but still the market is now demanding for certain things which production must respond to. And then we need the EAFFS approach to tap into that market niche. So there has to be that kind of dual way of handling this thing, because to carry the field school concepts into the market arena, I don't see it as very feasible. But if that linkage can be maintained, whereby we find out what the market needs, and then that information, the feedback is given to the production, and then the challenge of meeting that market niche is addressed using the farmer field school non-negotiable principles, then that kind of hybrid will be something that we need to consider. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, we will take that. It's an important point you raise. And the magnitude of evolution from our perspective, what is I think we are not trying. We will not move away from the principles. Yes, but we will try to, as we go and engage with different associations, different farmer field schools, I think part of what we are going to undertake is that kind of research to see how the transformation can occur without compromising those non-negotiables.
The principle, yeah.
Yes.
Really, that feedback mechanism from the market to the production
Yes.
or from what Max was saying, from the fork to the farm.
Yeah,
we need that information.
It's usually back and forth because it can be from the market to inform production.
Yeah.
But also it should be the other way around. Sometimes production also to the market. So we believe in a push-pull and also approach where the market can dictate production without necessarily having farmers to produce and then they get stuck and start looking for the market. So that pull approach would be best here. But I think the dynamics may vary. We may not have one approach that fits every farmer field school. So depending on the level of evolution, we may have to contextualize the approach depending on their growth level.
So let's give to Jane. Jane, over to you. Jane?
Thank you, Mark. I want to pick from your comment of the accusations that FFS are just for production. And I would like to say that I'm just giving a comment that this assignment of agribusiness will be the best case scenario to illustrate that FFS are not only for production, but they have a strong component of marketing. But we need really to show clearly in these FFS who are the business anchors that will ensure there is sustainability. And also we need to illustrate a case of the investment projects that come. They come and go, then come and go. How much do they contribute or interfere with the growth phase of FFS from the production phase to the marketing phase? With this, if we are able to come up with a path of growth from and try to see how would you like, I like that I've heard Timothy is coming from the background of investment and looking at the number of investments that are there in the government. Every investment comes and starts from the scratch of mobilizing the groups, forming the FFS, without picking up with the gains that were there so that we can be able to move. And this has created fatigue to the farmers, and that's why they say this is only production, because by the time they finish at the production part, the marketing part is not taken seriously. So this, through our hub, if we are able to come up with a clear path that will show the structures that need to be put and how they can interact for the marketing to be sustainable, I think this will be the best value hand in the region. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Daniel, go ahead.
Thank you, gentlemen, for a wonderful presentation. I think why we want to zero in on matters agribusiness is because most of us have been asking ourselves, for how long are our farmers going to remain at the subsistence level? Why aren't they going to the commercial levels? Now, I have just quick comments to the team that one, it is important for them to also interrogate very, very carefully.
Daniel, Daniel, sorry,
I'm sure
we can't hear you very well. The line is breaking.
You're breaking, Daniel.
Okay. Oh, okay. Let me repeat that I will wish to share my thoughts that, am I clear now?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, that perhaps you may want to interrogate and ask ourselves, where are the drivers for agribusiness in these current country programs across the board? That is the starting point. Where is the weakness? Is it at program level? Have these programs been designed to ensure that we run from production up to marketing, or they are just heavy in terms of the production aspect only? That is therefore also to say that perhaps there is need for us to interrogate the curriculum that is going round, especially through the country programs in matters building the capacity for FFS groups? Are we still again heavy on just production, or we only do a bit of throwing of records keeping, another witness? Because I believe farm business schools, FFS, farm market schools, as Max has said, these are just names. We are supposed to be focused. Are our people, how much have our people internalized the issues of markets, marketing, product development? That is where we really need to zero in. And I think in that regard, we should be able to get somewhere. That means, again, just to agree with Max and Jen Biashara, we need to ask ourselves, is it high time that we now start focusing on agribusiness in our field schools, whether they are going to be FBS, FMS, or the traditional farmer field schools? Thank you. Over to you, Edwin.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Daniel, for those observations and sentiments. I was checking the chat box and I've seen JP has also commented. I don't know if it will be okay for me to read what people have already read. By the end of the day, we hope to see commercially oriented field school groups and later associations and cooperatives with value chain concerns addressed. Then reliable input and market sources and outlets respectively. The concept note is likely to be a working document with detail on attitude change among FFS members, business plan development, etc. That's a comment from JP.
Thank you.
Jennifer has a comment. Jennifer, go on. You can talk from there. You're always a teacher.
Thank you very much. I can't see myself.
You don't need to see yourself.
Thank you very much. There's a picture I want to see which is not coming out very clearly. And this is to do with monitoring, evaluation, and learning. So I'd like to propose that in the log frame, for example, finance, we are talking of marketing. If you can put emphasis on that. And then with regards to social, we are talking of building the networks in the farmer field schools. And when it comes to natural issues, we are saying it is not a matter of producing and producing. We should conserve our environment. And these are key issues which should be included in the curriculum. Then when it comes again to human, we are talking of innovation. In Uganda, for example, we are talking of Bubu, buy Uganda, build Uganda, buy Uganda. So that is a matrix which I am looking for. If you can have a 4x6 matrix, and then you hammer in monitoring, evaluation, learning, then that will be a good way to go. Thank you very much. Back to Max.
Okay. I'm sure they can discuss. Nathan will have maybe a comment on that. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think we've had a fair discussion on this. I see Daniel. Daniel, is this an old hand or a baby hand?
It's an old hand, sorry. Sorry.
No problem. Let me look at the. Okay. So what we do, feel free to one point when we start this to send more comments directly to Timothy to enrich the report and also how to do the assignment, because this assignment will inform the field school on how we shall engage with our field school fraternity in the context of farming as a business, but broadly talked as agribusiness. For us, simple terms would be farming as a business, but now we're talking about agribusiness in a bigger picture, bringing all the elements together. Well, having said this, let's now move to Kigali, and we give a chance to Lucy to make a presentation. I know some of the issues may not be, we may not respond to all of them, but we shall continue to engage and ensure that we support each other, but also we get good products. We really need to see really good products coming out of this. So let's get to Lucy.
Thanks, Max. You'll share the screen.
I've made it possible, Lucy. You can also share the screen from your side.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm not yet.
Max, do you have a copy of the presentation?
Yes, he has. I think he should share from his end.
Okay. Max, then share from your side, please.
Hello, Edwin, can you see?
Yes, it's
Yes, we can see it, but you still have to do the full screen, or you do that. What did you say? Local innovation that you did the other
This
day.
time is the innovation is total up to the. We actually innovated to the end. You know, we try to. Hey, meanwhile, Lucy, introduce yourself and tell us how you ended up being a Kagame girl.
Thank you very much.
When you left in Yamacho. Go ahead and start introducing yourself as I get your presentation on.
So
Thank you, Lucy.
Mwangi. Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Lucy Mwangi. My background is agriculture extension. Previously, I've worked with the Kenya government, Ministry of Agriculture. Later on, I relocated to Rwanda as an agriculture extension expert to the Ministry of Agriculture, Rwanda, where I worked for 5 years, and later on moved on as a consultant, still in agriculture and rural development. And that is what I do now. I've had quite a number of assignments in agriculture extension with various clients. and I've had the opportunity of working with EAFFS previously. And I just finished an assignment with EAFFS where we are looking at institutionalization of field schools in Rwanda. So I must say what I'm doing now kind of is linked to what I was doing previously. This is assignment that I carried out with Nathan. Nathan, you're there? And a few other guys. Yeah, a few other professionals from Rwanda. So currently I'm based in Rwanda. Yeah.
This presentation is stubborn. Let me put it in a PDF. Normally, a PDF makes it easy to manage.
Okay.
Just oh. And you, Edwin, you can see that one. Hello? Edwin?
No, I'm seeing your file manager. Save as.
Why?
You have to stop screen share, then you open that PDF. Stop first. Stop the screen share.
But I did that now.
Then now, and make sure you've opened the PDF, then you share it afresh.
There you are.
No, there is your cap.
Okay, now I know. Now I know. I know that this thing is letting. Let me share. Then I go to that one.
You've got it.
Tell me. Yes. Over to you now, Lucy.
So in this assignment, I'll be developing the policy and investment strategy. And my presentation is having 3 key areas. I'm looking at introduction and background. Then there's a methodology, and finally data analysis, and then reporting. I may not dwell very much on the introduction and background, but I must say that I have already looked at literature review, what is there in the, like, why policy and investment strategy. And what I've gathered is that there is actually need for countries to invest more and better in the agriculture sector. And looking at most of the countries that we are covering in this particular assignment, we find that for all of them, agriculture plays a very key role, especially in their GDP and also in the areas of nutrition, improving the rural livelihoods, and even safeguarding the natural environment. So it's very important to invest in agriculture. When you look at the next slide, we are asking why investment in field schools. And next slide, Max. Yeah. So, and I think we all know that the field schools are a success in themselves, you know, and even since when the field schools were introduced, the farmer field schools, initially they were introduced as a standalone, but later on we've had very many initiatives of institutionalizing the field schools in the national policies and also especially in the national extension system. And with that, we can see that it will be very important to have the policy and investment strategy so as to support the EAFFS hubs in designing policies to mobilize partnership for sustainable investment in field school. There is one issue of the investment in the field schools, but there is the issue of sustainability, because you find most of the investments could be by projects, but then these projects come to an end. So with institutionalization, where maybe the government, the national governments will be involved, then you can have the sustainability and also where the private sector will be involved, you can have the sustainability. So going to methodology, approach and methodology, I'm going to have 5 key phases. We look at the technical approach. And the first one is inception. This is what we are doing now. And in this one, what we are doing now, I hope to get feedback from everyone and improve on the inception, such that as I start engage on the work, I'll have easier way of doing it. And I also look at collaborating with the other consultants. I know, like, I listened to the agribusiness consultants, and I know they're also doing a lot in the investments, also looking at the farmer business schools. So we are going to be in touch and collaborate and share information. Then in phase 2 is the development of the strategy for the scale up of FFS through policy and investment support. And here I'm looking at the profile of the private sector actors using FFS, and also the profile of farmer business schools. And this is what I'm saying. I'll still work with the other consultants, maybe share the information of what they'll have got. Then I'm going to produce summary report of the emerging issues in agri-food systems and agriculture investment initiatives. Here I'll be looking at the lessons, documenting them, and looking at the platforms that we can have for engagement. I'm also going to have a policy brief, and finally there'll be the final report. So how am I going to do this? So in the next slide, I'm looking at the methods and approaches of achieving this. So here we are looking at, I'm looking at the suggested methods and approaches that I want to engage. Of course, for inception report is what we are doing now, this discussion, and I'll get the comments I hope to get the comments to improve on this. So for output 2, here I'll be enabled for me to develop this strategy for the scale up of FS through policy and investment support. I'll be looking at the profiling of the private sector actors using FFS, especially the farmer business schools. And here I have developed a profiling tool. I'll come to the next slide where we'll discuss the tools. But here I'm also looking at the conditions for scaling up of farmer field schools by the private sector. And I'm asking a number of questions which will guide me as I achieve this. And some of the questions are like, are there existing institutional structures? Are these structures operating in very positive, favorable, and well-developed policy environment? Do these private sector who are involved in field schools, do they receive any technical backstopping, maybe from government? Is there any capacity building needed for private extension providers? Are there mechanisms for effective coordination and regulation of extension services providers? These are just a sample of what I'll be looking for, but I would still add more, increase focus on more areas other than this. I would also be looking at an analysis of emerging issues in agri-food systems, that's for output 3, and analysis of agriculture investment initiatives, and of course, document the platform for engagement. And like I said earlier, I'll be drawing experience from 6 countries, and this include Burundi, Kenya, Rwanda, Southern Sudan, Tanzania, and Uganda. And this is what was in the terms of reference. For output 4, I'll come up with a policy brief, and here I'll be looking at the types of policy change necessary to ensure scale up of the field schools. And finally, in the final report, there'll be recommendations and suggestions. There'll be recommended policy proposals, and there'll be the general agriculture extension and advisory services policy environment with focus on FFS. So those are the methods and approaches. And in the next slide, it's where now I'm looking at the tools which I propose to use. And the first tool is a providing tool, which I'll develop. In fact, I've annexed it into my inception report, what I intend to look for. But here I'll be, basically to be on through literature review and it's looking at the major issues, perception, and then I'll also look at the recommendations, how to scale up FS through policy and investment based on what is on the ground. I have developed this tool. It is annexed in my main report, and I believe we can refer to it. I'll also have a rapid analysis tool, and here I propose to have key informant interviews with a few of the identified stakeholders and also some literature review. And I believe some of us who are in this meeting will be my key informants. So I can share a key informant guide, which we can fill online. And then looking in this area, we shall be looking at opportunities, barriers, current situational status, and lessons learned in regard to the field school institutionalization policies and investments. And I'm sure here I'll get quite a lot of data and information from the key stakeholders. Then I also hope to get to the database. I know like FAO have done a lot in these areas of agriculture policies, national extension policies and strategies. And here I will refer to the database of what is available. And I'll also identify the emerging issues in agri-food systems and agriculture investment initiatives. Having collected all this data, then there will be the data processing and analysis. That is what is in the next slide. And since all data is qualitative, so it shall be analyzed thematically. And of course, I'll develop the broad themes, and then I'll see the relationship, underlying upscaling through policy and investments. And all this data that will be analyzed, it will be included in the reports. And as you can see in the next slide, I'll have 3 kind of reports. And the first one is a summary report of emerging issues in agri-food systems and agriculture investment initiatives. Second, there will be the policy brief, and then there'll be the final report. So at a glance, that's what I'll be doing. This is just a summary. I have the detailed inception report, but any input to improve on this is highly welcome. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Lucy. Let me open it, the policy teams, all of us, to give Lucy of course, I just want to start from the point of institutionalization, that this the policy and the investment are a part of the institutionalization, also to see what type of investments there are happening at the national level in terms of support to the field school. So see that coming from your work, but also to inform the field school hub and EAFFS on how it will engage with the current investment programs and also government. So that is also at the policy level again, but also every government has a policy in agriculture, both agricultural policy and extension policy. It will be good to have an eye to see how they are integrating field schools into their ongoing plans, and also do they have money to support the field school integration in their programming. So those are some things I would be also keen to see, but open to the team to say, we have something very critical. So over to you, team. Hands. This time I'm looking for JP's hand. Esther, there you go.
Thank you, Lucy, for the very detailed presentation. I'm happy because I've seen that you're going to collect some data for a little bit of your report. And I was just wondering, because you must collect data maybe on agricultural policy, just the way Max has elaborated from the different government players in the different countries. Which method are you planning to use to collect the data on agricultural policies from the different countries? We are going to use a questionnaire, or are you going to visit? And if you are going to use a questionnaire, which method of administration are you planning to use for you to be able to get quality data? Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you, Esther. Like I mentioned, first and foremost, I said we have the database where I can access, like the national agriculture policies for the respective countries. And I can look at those policies and see what is in place. I have worked, like I said, I just completed an assignment where we're looking at institutionalization of field schools in Rwanda. This was just in one country, but I dwelt a lot on the literature review because most policies are available. Like if I look at the agriculture policy for Uganda, in fact, I've already looked at it. I've already seen what is in it. So the database will help a lot. But also, I mentioned that I'll be having some questionnaire, and actually it's a key informant guide because I want to identify a few people that I can send it to, and then I can get the response. And this one, as we all know, in this COVID-19, we are not traveling a lot. In fact, it's not easy to travel into all these countries. But I have had experience of where you send the key informant guide or even the questionnaire, and the people respond and give me back the information. And I've worked in most of these countries before, so I also have my contacts. Other than maybe Burundi, all these other countries, I have contacts, and I'm confident of, if I send the questionnaire, I'm confident of getting it back. And I'm also proposing I can also have a discussion, like through Zoom, because like the assignment I just completed, that's what we were doing. We had to use Zoom a lot. But I'll first I'll send the key informant guide, and then I can call or book for appointments and discuss with these people. And of course, Esther, I'm sure you'd be one of the people that I'll be talking to, because I know One University, you've done a lot in the institutionalization of the farmer field schools. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Lucy, for that elaborate clarification on how you're going to go about it. I just wanted to bring to your attention that before the Field School Hub was moved to EAFFS, we had two case studies of institutionalization, Kenya and Ethiopia. And they'd come to a level whereby they developed policy briefs in support of field schools. And that is what even informed the formation of the Kenya Field School Coordination Unit in Kenya. Ethiopia, they were calling it a different name. I think you could also borrow from what had been done and just build on it and provide a template for other countries to establish the same. I think Uganda is headed that way now.
Okay.
Over to you.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that information. I'll follow up on this. Actually, for Kenya, I have some idea of, I have some information, and actually I've had a look at it, and then I'll also look for this one for Ethiopia. Thank you.
You're welcome. The rest of the team members, kindly raise your hand so that we can see you. Baha, is that a new hand or an old one?
A new one.
Okay.
Okay.
So proceed, please.
Many thanks, Lucy, for that wonderful presentation. I just have a quick one, my thoughts. Allow me, members, to use the Kenyan context that the agricultural extension advisory system is getting lean and leaner. So as you think of policy, we know that we want to advocate for extension policies across the board. But we have one weak link, that is human resource. I just food for thought, Lucy. How do we go around this problem? Because having the policy is one thing, but now getting people to ensure that we have players, team players to roll out the extension advisory services is another thing. That was my quick take. Otherwise, thank you very much. Over to you, Edwin.
Thank you very much, Baha. It is true what you have said. The extension, the human resource in agriculture extension is getting leaner and leaner. But at the same time, we also have privatization of extension and advisory services. I think if you look at the public sector is where we no longer have maybe more extension workers or agents being engaged. But when you look at the private sector, I want to give an example of Rwanda, where we have come up with what we are calling customized agriculture extension system. I had the opportunity of being in the team that developed it as a consultant. And we are looking at how to bring in the private sector and how the private sector can be key players in agriculture extension, with the government being the regulator, and then the private sector providing the services, of course, at a fee, and farmers being able to pay this more so through the cooperatives. So having the policy, the policy should also consider such, like how is the private sector coming on board? How is the policy environment being very favorable for the private sector to be key players in agriculture extension? So that's the way I would look at it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so we have to catch up with the time. The other thing is that some of the comments we can send directly, but Nathan has something to mention.
Yes,
just go ahead.
I think mine would be more of a simple question, but also more of a comment. We know that given the task of coming up with a very good policy for nationalizing farmer field schools and based on this assignment, and usually for several countries, you find that policies could be developed by consultants and as well as maybe different institutions, and this would also need to be incorporated into the general agricultural policy of the different countries. And you'll find that most of these are first of all taken up with further discussions into maybe various forums like parliamentary institutions and so on and so forth. So for me, what I'm mainly asking, how do we build this after you've got this? How then do you expand the discussion of this policy and have it probably incorporated into the agricultural policy for different countries, and so that it is recognizable as a working policy for farmer field schools? Back to you.
Lucy, do you want to attempt to answer that, or?
Yes.
I think in your report you were talking about a policy brief, because we may not go into developing in any policy for now. The policy is always by government or by the regional communities, but ours will be mainly to get a policy brief, then do advocacy. Use that for advocacy. That's why the ones done originally would be a good reference material. But let me allow you to respond. and we close this session.
Actually, what I wanted to say is that once we develop the policy brief, and then the next step would be for the respective countries, we can have the policy dialogue. I have done this previously for Rwanda, whereby we came up with a policy brief, then had the dialogue, and the dialogue is at a very high level, so that in the next planning session for the government, they can include what we advocate for. And actually, that is how we've come up with what I'm calling the customized agriculture extension system. It was based on that, having so many discussions. And like Max has said, the policies are developed by the government. So it's not, but the advocacy is what we can be able to do. Thank you.
Okay, unless there is something again, we are running out of time. And I see that in the group also, these days of COVID, you need to have enough energy and eat well. Since we have not eaten since morning, we should allow ourselves just maybe next 10 minutes and we close. So, I'm actually now...
Maybe Max,
go ahead.
If Andrew Ating is still there, they've also been working with the doctor.
He's actually here permanent.
With Dr. Patience Ruamigisa, they've also been coming up with a policy brief in support of field schools and how it can link to Operation Wealth Creation and all these other existing policies. So
but before it comes, are you seeing a new presentation?
Yes. Capacity development plan for East Africa field school actors.
Excellent. And this one is showing a full thing or a half?
No, you have to do the slideshow.
Again, the PDF?
No, slideshow.
Yeah, this is a slideshow as usual. In fact, a full slideshow, but it doesn't. We present like that. This is better.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Just decrease the side on your left, where we have the small miniature slides.
Let me see the next slide.
No.
It will not move.
Widening this side.
You see, the thing is not moving. That is also another issue.
Try using page down and page up.
Let me first. Okay, while you discuss something else within the Andrew, you had Edwin was requesting you to give a comment on current work with the Ministry of Agriculture.
Yeah,
and the Kapiringisa initiative.
Yes, you are right. We decided to step out of that route of trying to get the parliamentary bill on extension because it was way out of our control what was happening. I think there were some undercurrents between NADS and the Ministry of Agriculture which we could not manage to interfere with. So we opted that instead of trying to get this policy brief which would then go through the dialogue which Lucy talked about, we opted that we would work with the higher institutions of learning and develop the generic curriculum which would then be applied in the various faculties of agricultural extension. And then we would have graduates of agricultural extension having this curriculum on the farmer field schools and then transitioning them through Kampiringisa, where we are also doing a farmer field school methodology and setting up satellite stations so that they go there and then they come out and practice while we wait for the due process to run its course in Parliament for the agricultural extension bill. So that's the route we have opted to go now, because trying to get the policy brief is not very possible down.
Thank you. Then I was just thinking, Lucy, from your experience, EAFFS has a very good mandate with with the African Union on agricultural advisory services. If such a policy were to be developed and sold, or how do I say it, advocated through the African Union, will it be easier for the member states in Eastern Africa just to domesticate this policy? Will it be easier that way? Over to you.
My experience is that as much as we are in Eastern Africa, the countries, the agriculture sector is governed very differently. And so if we can have a policy brief that is, like being pushed across for all the countries, we should have, like a commonality, something cutting across all the countries. For instance, we look at we want institutionalization of field schools in the national agriculture extension systems, like we managed to do here in Rwanda. So that can be pushed, yes, through the higher level, but I would look at it being pushed not through the AU, but through the East Africa. If we have another forum, maybe at the East African level, where I know that these governments, they normally have normal discussions where agriculture is actually normally a key agenda. So we can push it through that. I don't know if we have a forum at the East African, is it East African Parliament or EALA?
Yes, EALA. They have a council of ministers on agriculture.
Good. I would look at it at that level, other than being at a very high level. I'll look at it at that level.
Yeah. But Edwin,
like I've said, we have a good example here in Rwanda. They can even learn from here, because here we have, it has been, the farmer field schools have been institutionalized into the national agriculture extension system, and even completely with a budget towards that.
Yeah. Mark, Edwin.
Go ahead.
Hello. You know,
Go ahead.
The declaration, which was mandating African countries to spend a certain percentage on agricultural development, I think, and what. However, implementation at national level has never been realized. I think just Ethiopia and another country which have tried to. So I don't know how effective it is to use this regional forum to try and push some of these things on a national level.
Maybe Max could elaborate more, but I know one of the major mandates of EAFFS is to support the monitoring of CADAP. They have this CADAP XP, and they bring them on board. They hold countries accountable.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I will not go much there because one, even when we have the African Union, you see, when you're not giving funds, still the responsibility, hey, what's the baby who is to eat now? Give the baby food. Okay. Now, when you're not having financial muscle, you don't really give a lot of push the countries. Countries are struggling on their own. There are others that have initiatives like Rwanda, of course, a bit of Ethiopia those days, of course, Ghana and others outside the region. So I think what we only do is to focus on the advocacy in terms of the use of the approach for now, and also investment that goes to this approach. The bigger picture, we can have that as a discussion for another day for the AUC. AUC has a lot of things, from Maputo to 2003 to the Malabo 2014 to now the biannual reviews, which are led by the AUDC, formerly NEPAD. So anyway, I think we can do the advocacy and see how we can manage certain things, but the national systems have a big say in whatever transformation will happen at the national level. Having said it so, let's firstly give now Dr. Gole to have a few minutes I know this presentation we have seen, I think now we should focus on the plan and moving forward briefly so that we go to the closure of this meeting based on the time we have.
Thank you very much, Max. Ladies and gentlemen, as Max has just said, this is not the first time I present this. Probably there may be some other elements that are in this that were not in the other. Yeah, because as you're aware that capacity building is a continuous process. It is cyclic. It is aimed at building the capacities, the knowledge base, the attitudes, the abilities of individuals, of stakeholders, and any other involved in execution of particular tasks, either at an organizational level, at a community level, or at a national level. So you may be looking at that cyclic diagram. It looks at the capacity building process. We conducted a needs assessment, and then we established a needs assessment. Specifically, there are many actors involved. You must be aware that the East African Hub, Field School Hub, or the Field School methodology is a multi-stakeholder extension approach. It engages different stakeholders, and to build the capacity of the field schools is not to target one stakeholder. All the capacities of all the engaging stakeholders must be built. So when you look at the diagram on the left, looking at the framework, looks at the individual, organization, and the environment. In this case, we can look at if you extrapolate this to the field schools, you can look at it at the level within a field school. There are individuals that come from families. At the field school is a group. Above field schools, you can come looking at the trainers, facilitators, or the extension trainers, extension master trainers, facilitators, and the farmer trainers, facilitators, and master trainers, and so on. And then above that, you get the investment projects above the trainers. Let's look at the investment projects, because the investment projects currently are the ones that are actually tasked with building the capacity of field schools. And then above the investment projects, I hope I'm using the right. I'm trying to redraw you get the hub. Because the hub, I think, is above the field, the investment projects, and then of course you get the FAO and so on. So you can look at the policy. Policy may be starting at the hub level. Yeah, the field, the master trainers and so on. Those are practitioners, the implementers of the field school methodology, and also at the group level you get the practitioners and the implementers of the field school methodology. Now, our framework, capacity building framework, is not going to start at the bottom, moving up, or from the top, bottom, because we have the multi-stakeholders. It will be difficult. Our capacity building process must be able to tackle the different stakeholders at the same time. Yeah, at the same time. It's not a linear process. It is since we have multi-stakeholders, we handle them at the same time. Yeah. So what we also, when Lucy was presenting, I picked one thing. She said, I'm going to benchmark from the agribusiness consultants. And then one thing I need to highlight is that you see, all the consultancies or activities that the different consultants are doing feed into the capacity development process and plan. So you're not working in isolation. And therefore, at the end, I expect to hold a workshop, Max shall hold a workshop, so that we mainstream all the output from the different consultants into our capacity development framework. Actually, we need to develop a framework. And that framework could be aligned to, remember the other day when Nathan was presenting, we said we need to customize the mail framework to our community. So we also, while we customize that email framework to what we need here, we also need to develop a capacity building framework. These two feed into each other. And what therefore do we need to do? You see, we don't need only to focus on ability, on skills and competencies. We need to focus on attitudes too. You know, when I sent a questionnaire to investment programs and it was not responded to, at first I got so irritated, and then said I'm a researcher, and when you send a questionnaire, the respondent has a right to respond or not to respond. I consoled myself, I said they have a right to not to respond. But behind my mind, I said, no, there is a reason not to respond. So therefore, we need to have, and this is part of the engagements, we have regular engagements involving multi-stakeholders. Part of these engagements to familiarize with what takes place and not create a positive attitude in individuals that we are working together. We are working as a group, not as individuals. Understanding the vision, mission, and the values of field school methodology. And then, of course, this also comes with updating our databases. Yeah. At the different levels of the actors, and in each country. Yeah. In each country. Because when I look at the meetings that we usually have, South Sudan is less represented. Usually Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda slightly, Burundi almost none, South Sudan almost none, Eritrea almost none. Yeah. That reflects in other processes. Yeah. So key, of course, in this is building the capacities of those different actors that we talked about. Critically, because we recommended that we need to do targeted training of the different actors. Now, targeted training, you need to build a curriculum. You build relevant curriculum, and I still insist that the relevant curriculum must be competence-based, because the implementers of field school methodology should have competencies that enable them to deliver particular activities that build the capacities of those that they will be training. Yeah. Maybe that this brings us to another question. Do we have a kind of milestones that we expect the field schools actors to be at a particular point of time? Maybe say point X. Let's say by 2025, master trainers should be at this level. Field school groups should be at this level. The investment projects should be at this level. So that when we are training, we know that if you conduct a needs assessment and a capacity assessment, you should be able to know where they're expected to be. But now there's a problem. We sort of don't know where we expect to be at a particular time. We know where we are now, but we don't know where we expect to be, and therefore it's difficult to gauge what capacities we expect them to develop. Yeah. So curriculum, relevant curriculum, delivered using competence-based approach with the expected outcomes. We have mentioned areas that every consultant here is very important and is handling a very important area that feeds into the capacity building process. Therefore, you see the most critical element that will inform the development processes in field schools is the continuous research. And capacity assessment is one of those, because it generates information that continuously inform the system. Continuously inform the system. We don't want to make decisions that are based on guesswork. Yeah. Continuously inform the system. Yeah. And that information must be shared. Which means, even as you work, you'll be sharing, be sharing. Don't say, this is my report, I will share it at the end. This is what I'm doing, I must only share it at the end. Only the hub must know, Max must know what I'm doing. But you are learning, because whatever you are doing, whether curriculum development, policy, and so on, all those things are interconnected. You will need the curriculum, developing curriculum policy, so you need to contact Luz at the same time. You need agribusiness curriculum, you need to contact Timothy and Mr. Bongo at the same time, and so on, and so on. Oh, that's not the right thing. And therefore, our capacity, as I said at the beginning, can be built if every actor is fully engaged with a positive attitude. The individuals that constitute the groups themselves, the trainers, the investment projects, and the TIRE, because now all the consultants are part of the hub. So all our work orientation is key in the success of the field school. I thank you for listening.
Is there another slide?
No, that one is there.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I think that was a short brief from Dr. Gole. Nathan, do you want to talk just on something you having presented recently?
Okay,
just offhead.
Yeah, I think I would really like to respond to the suggestion that Jennifer highlighted in regard with the agribusiness strategy development, and I think this is very welcome. So one of the key things probably now that has to come up very strongly in this agribusiness guide, that probably you'll be able to come up for the different initiatives that the farmer field schools operating is having, is to show how we can be able to evaluate some of these initiatives. And so from the mail framework document that I presented on Wednesday, we're able to see quite a number of indicators that can be able to point to some of these aspects. And this is more towards the financial domain. And so we are looking at things like the marketing aspects and how is that marketing aspect built for the different enterprises that will be able to guide in terms of the agribusiness concept. Looking at building the network, probably showing how we can be able to see what number of people have business plans, number of people that have gone into having contracts, issues to do with access to market information, probably if there's an aspect of volume of trading for some of these initiatives, issues to do with access to credit, cooperative growth, and so on and so forth. So I think that the mail aspect into the agribusiness guide and strategy will be very important also for us to be able to see. I think basically that's what I would like to comment. So building from the presentation that I gave on Wednesday, one of the critical aspects that we are now adding into the mail framework is having a monitoring and evaluation plan for the farmer field schools that will be able to work as a tool for the entire region. I think briefly that's what I would like to comment and give them. Thank you.
Andrew,
yes,
any last?
Yeah, I would just want to raise the issue you talked about, continuous research. Now, I wanted a clarification. Are you looking at between the master trainers, or there should be a way in which we can, because the field schools at the grassroots are doing IESA and generating issues every other time. How do we make sure that this kind of information generated at the grassroots is getting to the master trainers, and so that to guide that element of continuous research that you hinted at? But otherwise, it's a very interesting point.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew. You got raised. So the that is that kind of research would be more for action research. Yes, because it's work based. Yeah, it's new knowledge generated at work, practitioner based. That would be good. But we would have the other research. So that would be one knowledge from the grassroots. But also would have knowledge that's generated by of course that is also integrated because the master trainers who are highly skilled work together with the local people. That is the community-based generated knowledge. But we would also have scholar level knowledge. Yes, yes. That may go beyond. For example, if you look at what is the level of cohesion in these groups, how many existed and how many have died, so that we'll be able to say why at the beginning we had this number of groups which have come down. These groups are this number of people. The number of people, what is causing the groups to people to move away? Not useful. So that is kind of knowledge may not necessarily come from the grassroots. Yes, can be at a scholarly level. So that when we see there are different levels that can inform, like what we are generating now, we've been based at the investment programs level. As you remember our meeting we had here, Deborah was saying, no, my interest in investment project, but say now, how do you look at investment projects? But investment projects may not directly be interacting with the farmer groups. It is the master trainers. Because the investment project may not have their team. They operate at the managerial level, planning level, but who does the implementation?
Yeah. And that engagement with master trainers,
yes,
is the catalyst that would ensure a higher survival of field schools.
Right.
And that is really the element that I was trying to see. How do we stimulate
it? This is now the entire group. The engagement with the master trainers. One, I was looking at it because you can look at it, first of all, master trainer to master trainer. That one, we need a database, but also we need a platform that brings all, first of all, leave alone the hub. The hub can organize meetings, but you find that master trainers within their own regions of operations don't know each other. Last time I gave example when I was presenting that you may have training, let's say in West Nile, in Navy, but the only master trainer you know is in Soroti, and you urgently need a master trainer. The Soroti master trainer is not accessible, but you don't know who is available in West Nile.
Yeah. So I think we could continue with the debate and the discussions. Edwin, could you enable the videos so that when we put the photo, the pictures together as we wrap up, then we continue the discussion. I don't want the people online to fall off. We still need the Lucy, Jenny, Esther, Dixon, actually Williams is off, Baha is also off now.
Some of them they complained the batteries are low and
yeah. So enable the video, all of them, all now. You are still not enabling me. Why did you stop it?
Andrew, while we're waiting for Max to finish.
Huh? Oh no, there was a time when Lucy. There was a time when Lucy was presenting and you were busy doing other.
Oh yeah. No, we stopped.
Got a taste of the other.
So.
I also feel that the issue of continuous research should sometimes be catalyzed by the MIE departments. If there are issues which are sieved out, filtered out.
Madam Weni, thanks for your patience.
Especially people online have been extremely very patient. Extremely very patient.
Now my friend Dixon, let me tell him to...
We shall continue with the debate. So, let's close the meeting, then the debate will continue here. Now, we want to request all the teams here to go behind for a photo. So, let's go all of us to... The photo is online. It's an auto photo. Edwin will take a photo while I do the wrap up. The wrap, actually for you can see because yeah, Andrew, 10.
Yeah.
So the wrap up is, I think, for me. We thank the consultants for the time they have taken, and we look forward to you doing a very quality work. This is the work for EAFFS and FAO. But mainly EAFFS, and we believe in quality. So Edwin and myself and Nathan, and of course Dr. Gole and all of us, we shall be reviewing the reports, and also the strategies that we are not reviewing individual reports, but we keep changing. I send my own inception report from Lucy to Esther, from Esther to Dr. Gole, to Dr. Muindi, Esther to Edwin. So when you receive anything, because we're a small team, please give your input. We also expect the volunteers not just to focus on what they were supposed to do on the investment projects, but to ensure that at the end of this year, we have a profile of all the field schools in Eastern Africa, if it's possible, especially Uganda, Kenya, and Burundi, where we shall have a master trainer. We also expect that, we have a profile of field schools that we can always use as the best, the database to ensure we are working. So Edwin, as you are taking the photograph, we are...
Lucy and Dixon have decided to switch off their video.
Hey, Lucy, we need you. Are you changing to a t-shirt like us? We see Esther next time you will have a t-shirt which is white and a cape. If not, Edwin should buy for you with a Kenya shilling. So in the room we have Isaac. You're in a photo or not? I think you're there.
But since Max, you are the tallest, you should be at the back.
No. I'm not covering anybody. I'm at the side of the room.
Your hand alone is covering 2/3 of the screen.
Exactly, just because.
Even when he's seated, it's like he's standing.
I'm actually not sitting. I'm actually here. No problem. So Isaac has a photo, a diagram to show in 2 minutes. Don't miss it. And Edwin take it. So Isaac,
you need to be part of the photo. Please come.
So
First, leave first.
that is okay. That is the best. Just hold it. You can hold it with Isaac together. Isaac.
You fold this one.
You fold that. You fold this. You remove the water. Now they got free water. Uganda there is a Nile, so water is free.
I just want to try the title.
Isaac, try.
I want to try the title.
Right.
FFS. Yes, try it. FFS workshop. Just don't bother so much. You will. Hub.
You are all looking lovely.
It should be. You can just say.
Last one.
You have taken one. Are you?
I've taken one. I'm taking a second one.
Yeah, I think.
Well, you need the light, but also you can take your own photo later. Let's do the online. You come for the online. Exactly. That is enough for now. We shall do other. I know you need something nice. I know. Yeah. So those who are seated, so the pictorial thing as usual of how the field schools operate by drawing. So you can you remove this? Can you remove this? You raise it a bit. So Edwin, now the photo takes.
Okay, that one is much better. But your background is too bright.
Can you switch off?
Why is Why is Uganda having a brighter future behind them?
Yeah, because we have a youthful president coming next.
Don't record that. Are you seeing that now?
Yes. No, switch off the light.
Switch off the light.
Okay. I think that one has come out nicely.
Okay. Thank you, and thank you. Then the rest of the teams, the letters, we shall send them, but work. Let's work. We have only 15, 20 days. The rest of the team, we shall be communicating.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Now
bearing.
we can switch on the lights.
Okay. Okay. So, if there is nothing to add, I think we should release you online to rest now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our pleasure. Have a nice afternoon.
Ciao.
Bye. And for us online, our lunch vouchers coming in. There is.
Yes. And you provide all the Kenyans lunch. For Lucy, she takes milk, so you don't mind about it.
There is Uber Eats. We'll just tell you what you want to eat. Then you can pay from Kampala.
You send the bill to Brenda.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay, so